final 24 hours of Aileen Wuornos. Her chilling last words revealed. Hi everyone. On a quiet October morning in 2002, inside the gray walls of Florida State Prison, a woman known to the world as a serial killer calmly prepared for her death. Aileen Wuornos, once labeled America's first female serial predator, had spent 10 years awaiting this moment. But unlike many before her, she didn't fear it. She welcomed it. Convicted of 7 killings and portrayed in media as both monster and martyr, Aileen's final hours were anything but ordinary. From strange accusations to a chilling final interview, her last day was filled with disturbing calm and bizarre proclamations. Was this the final chapter of a cold-blooded killer, or the tragic end of a woman shaped by trauma, abandonment, and rage? Today, we walk through the final 24 hours of Aileen Wuornos, a story filled with silence, solitude, and one final, haunting message before the curtain closed for good. Dear friends, in the final full day of her life, Aileen Wuornos lay on a thin, worn-out mattress inside a death row cell at Florida State Prison. The air was heavy with silence, and the world beyond those concrete walls felt distant. To some, she was a remorseless killer. To others, a damaged soul molded by years of trauma, violence, and abandonment. But on October 8, 2002, labels didn't matter. Time was running out, and Aileen was ready for the end. The morning started with scrambled eggs, toast, and milk, just another breakfast, in a place where time barely moved. But Aileen hadn't trusted her food for years. She claimed the guards had been contaminating her meals with dirt, saliva, and worse. She accused them of psychological torture, saying she overheard conversations through the intercom, threats that they would push her to end her life before the state could. Whether these claims were delusions or the result of years of isolation and paranoia, they reflected a mind unraveling and a woman who had already emotionally detached from the world around her. She didn't resist what was coming. Months earlier, Aileen had waived all remaining appeals. She didn't want to delay the inevitable. In fact, she welcomed it. Her final attorney, Rag Singhal, struggled with her determination. She wanted to die, he later recalled. There was nothing we could do to stop her. Governor Jeb Bush had briefly halted the execution after concerns were raised about her mental competency. But 2 court-appointed psychiatrists determined that Aileen fully understood her actions and the consequences. Her fate was sealed. At 3:00 p.m. that day, Aileen sat down for a final on-camera interview with British filmmaker Nick Broomfield. It would be her last recorded conversation. She greeted him with an almost surreal cheerfulness, pointing to her orange prison shirt and smiling. Check out the orange shirt. But beneath the surface, her voice carried the weight of a lifetime of rage, bitterness, and betrayal. And when asked how life was inside the prison, she said, "It's okay, it's all right. But you know, you have your problems. Some staff don't like you." "Oh, you're a serial killer." She admitted that she mostly kept to herself, rarely going outside. She no longer smoked, rarely spoke to others, and spent her days reading the Bible, watching TV, writing letters, and thinking about everything she had done and everything that had been done to her. "I just sit and go back in time," she said, "get all the tears out of me and stuff, so I won't cry in the execution chamber." The conversation soon darkened. Aileen claimed she was tortured inside the prison. She described sonic pressure on her head, secret listening devices, and food tampering going back to 1997. "One day I didn't wash my food off," she said, "and I was sick for 3 weeks. I almost died." Her tone was flat, factual, unshaken. Whether fact or fiction, her belief in these things was absolute. Then came her most disturbing accusation. Aileen claimed that the police had allowed her to continue killing after her first victim, Richard Mallory. "Let them know I know," she said firmly. "I left prints everywhere, and they covered it up. They let me kill the rest so they could turn me into a serial killer." The theory was wild, but she believed it entirely. Her trust in society, the justice system, and even the people around her had completely shattered. As the interview came to an end, Aileen exploded. Her voice rose, her hands shook, and her eyes locked onto the camera lens. "You sabotaged my ass," she shouted. "Society and the cops and the system. A raped woman got executed, used for books and movies, and Thanks a lot, society, for railroading my ass." Her fury echoed beyond the room. Recorded forever in Broomfield's documentary. That evening, Aileen didn't speak to anyone else. There were no phone calls, no last visits. Those connections had been severed long ago. She had no family coming to say goodbye, no friends offering comfort. Instead, she returned to her cell, lay down, and fell into an early sleep, as if letting go. She woke earlier than usual on the morning of October 9th. The sun hadn't fully risen, but she was already preparing. A guard reported that she asked for a towel and a washcloth, simply to freshen up. She declined the traditional last meal, which could have included anything under 20. All she wanted was a plain cup of black coffee. No food, no ceremony, no indulgence, just coffee and time. Outside the prison, a crowd had gathered. Protesters and supporters, media vans and curious onlookers. But Aileen didn't hear them. Inside, everything moved with quiet precision. Guards escorted her from her cell to the death chamber. She didn't struggle. Her face showed no panic, only resignation. She was strapped to the gurney. 2 IV lines were inserted into her arms. The curtains pulled back. 32 witnesses sat in silence. And then, Aileen Wuornos spoke one last time. "Yes, I would just like to say, I'm sailing with the Rock, and I'll be back like Independence Day with Jesus June 6th, like the movie, big mothership and all. I'll be back, I'll be back." Her words stunned the witnesses. There was no apology, no reflection, no mention of her victims. Just a strange, science fiction-laced prophecy that no one could fully explain. It was chilling, bizarre, and deeply human all at once, a final expression of a mind shaped by trauma, survival, and rage. The room fell quiet as the chemicals began to flow. Aileen stared at the ceiling. She swallowed hard. Her eyes watered, but she didn't cry. No one in the chamber moved. Not a cough, not a word. The air was still, thick with heat and tension. After 8 minutes, the physician gave a quiet nod. The warden picked up a phone. At 9:47 a.m., Aileen Wuornos was pronounced dead. She was 46 years old. Outside, reactions were mixed. Some called it justice. Others called it tragedy. Her story of abuse, sex work, mental illness, and ultimately, violence still haunts the American public. Was she a remorseless predator, or the inevitable result of a society that failed her again and again, even in death? Aileen Wuornos leaves behind more questions than answers, and perhaps that's what makes her story so unforgettable. Aileen Wuornos died alone, but her story continues to stir debate. Decades after her final breath, was she simply a cold-hearted killer, or was she a deeply wounded woman shaped by years of neglect, violence, and despair? Her final words were strange, her actions haunting, but her pain was undeniable. In the end, Aileen became both a symbol and a warning, a reflection of what can happen when trauma is ignored, when systems fail, and when justice becomes tangled in vengeance. Her case forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about mental illness, abuse, and capital punishment. So we leave you with this question: did Aileen Wuornos die as a monster, or as someone the world never truly tried to understand? Let us know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay with us for more true crime stories that challenge what we think we know.